Hello and welcome to the Penn State IST 110 Summer of 2011 class. This presentation will be presented by Team Spectral Solutions. Our presentation will take you through a brief yet detailed and exciting journey into the technology of biometrics. Spectral Solutions is comprised of Joshua Williams, Matt Cole, Andy Zugay, Hain Tang, Christopher Young, and Matt Wright. We hope you enjoy our presentation. This video presentation has been broken down into 4 separate acts. Act 1 was created by Joshua Williams and will give you a brief introduction to what biometrics is, classifications and types of biometrics, as well as a brief explanation of how each technology works. Act 2 was created by Matthew Cole and will discuss a brief history of biometrics. Act 3 was created by Matthew Wright and will explain current uses of and applications of biometrics, including what it is used for today and who uses it. Act 4 was created by Hain Tang and Andy Zugay. This act explains the future of biometrics, including where the technology is going and new technologies that could be developed. Biometrics comes from the words biology and metrics, meaning finding biological data through means of measurement. Measurements such as the width of the eyes, the geometrical shape of a hand or face, are examples of different types of biometric scanners that will be covered in more detail soon. Biometrics can be broken down into 2 main categories: standard biometrics and behavioral biometrics. Cognitive biometrics is classified under behavioral biometrics. However, we feel it is also important to share this knowledge with you. Standard biometrics uses the physical characteristics of the body, such as a fingerprint or veins, to uniquely identify someone. Behavioral biometrics uses someone's behaviors, such as handwriting styles, topography, or even the number of times a user is normally on their computer to identify them. Cognitive biometrics uses thoughts, ideas, sentences, and phrases that only a user would know. There are probably more types of standard biometric devices than any other type of biometric technology. The list here shows just a few examples of the types of technologies that exist. Also listed below each type of technology is a brief description of how the technology works. Behavioral biometrics uses a person's natural habits to identify them. Habits such as the way they type or the way they sign their signature. Computer footprinting is also a type of behavioral biometric technology in which IP address, geographical location, MAC address, time of day, date, and more can be monitored to study your computer habits as a way to identify you. Cognitive biometrics use your ideas, thoughts, sentences, phrases, and other memories that only you would know to identify yourself. Banks also use this technology for security questions. Have you ever been asked a security question such as your mother's maiden name, or which street did you grow up on? Biometrics is very useful in today's society. Most people use some form of biometric technology every day without even knowing it. Biometrics can be found in just about any field you choose to pursue. Fingerprint scanners are probably the most common in work-related areas for identifying employees.
The earliest evidence of possible utilization of biometrics is from the period around 500 BCE. Archaeologists have found ancient Babylonian clay tablets from this period which indicate that merchants would document business transactions with a fingerprint to identify the seller. The first documented use of biometrics for identification comes from the 14th century. Portuguese explorer João de Barros, who, while exploring in Asia, encountered Chinese merchants stamping children's hands and footprints for identification. However, it was not until the 19th century in India that a modern age of biometrics began. This is when the first system of widespread fingerprint filing and identification began under Edward Henry, the Inspector General of Police in Bengal, India, for investigative and crime prevention purposes. With the onset of the technological revolution, biometrics has advanced both in scope and in technology. Advances throughout the 1960s and 70s led to major breakthroughs in the field during the 90s and into the 21st century. Some of these advances include facial recognition software, optical iris recognition, and electronic fingerprint and palm print measurement. During Super Bowl 35 in 2001, held at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida, local authorities tested facial recognition software and technology directed at the entire crowd to scan for images of people with outstanding warrants and criminal records with the Tampa Police Department. The results were less than spectacular, and several innocent attendees were singled out in error. This led many civil liberties advocates to denounce the technology and to the general public's distrust in the capability and reliability of it. Since the tragic events of September 11, 2001, and with the onset of the War on Terror, the drive for biometrics technology has become intensified, and new initiatives have been implemented. The presence of the Biometrics Consortium as a joint committee through the Homeland Security Department and the National Science and Technology Council has implemented executive directives and funded initiatives towards more effective and reliable technology.
A potentially disheartening yet all too frequent question in the common mind is who is using biometrics today and just how are these technologies being applied? Their wide array of applications has led to implementation in advanced security recognition systems, such as the rapid facial recognition system used in airports. These technologies have already led to the capture of multiple terrorists worldwide before they had a chance to strike. Fingerprint analysis, one of the oldest forms of biometrics, has been used for decades now to track both criminal activity and missing persons. Of course, the uses and inherent benefits of biometrics don't only stop with security and law enforcement. Today, many of us enjoy the ability to not worry about remembering a tediously complex password to access our home computers. We simply swipe our fingers for controlled access. If you've taken a test drive in a newer car recently, you may have noticed the ability to give voice commands to your vehicle, such as to activate a phone call or maybe change a radio station. This technology has now evolved to the point where the driver's voice can be distinguished and only that person is authorized to make the commands. Even from an employer's perspective, the requirement to track personnel is paramount, with issues such as mishap prevention, potentially fraudulent use of company funds, or even lawsuits concerning liability issues. Something as simple as a fingerprint-controlled punch card system can resolve many of these for a relatively small cost of implementation. All things considered, a numerical representation of your physical characteristics allows for better control of your personal information and easier pursuit of those who seek to use it illegitimately.
This is the way we currently open a door. We use the card with authentication to open that. In the future, the relay of the authentication from the card to my hand will help me to open that door. This is not the Force in Star Wars. Instead, it is the future
of biometrics. Multimodal biometrics is not new, but still in its early stages. It combines the use of two or more biometric identifiers. More and more biometrics will become multimodal as multimodal biometrics provides a higher level of accuracy compared to individual biometric identifiers. Although some may exist today, the kiosks and ATM machines of the future will be even more advanced. These machines may use multimodal biometrics and not require the clunky and expensive hardware and software to read cards and receive input from keyboards. Fingerprint and iris scanners can authenticate, and a few buttons, small touchscreen, or even voice recognition will perform desired tasks. Near-field communication shines near-infrared light upwards into the palm of a hand, uniquely recording the vein pattern. This technology is currently in use in Asia, but because of its low cost, will be more widely used here in the US and other parts of the world. Neuromarketing is a relatively new form of marketing that uses biometrics to sense reactions from people. This technology can sense eye movements where someone is looking within a screen, if someone is looking at the screen, has walked away, their heart rate, facial expressions, and possibly identify people using a retina scan to personalize a message or market specific products. As time goes on, more and more new uses for biometrics will be thought of and new technologies will be invented. it is safe to say that in our lifetime, we will see more and more biometric applications in our everyday lives.